everyone. I'm Angela Kirky. I'm Director of Education at PPA. And today on In It Together, we get a chance to chat with Phillip and Eileen Blume. Phillip and Eileen, thanks so much for joining us.
Hey.
Hi, it's so good to be here. Good to see you, Angela.
I appreciate you guys so much. Phillip and Eileen have been great mentors for PPA. They have done some amazing educational segments for us. And I always enjoy our conversations, one, because I always learn something, and two, because I feel like both of you share your hearts so beautifully and so genuinely, especially with everything going on in the world today. And so I'd love to chat with you guys a little bit about just life, scheduling, what's going on.
Yeah, what is going on? Maybe we'll figure it out during this time.
We'll just see where our conversation goes.
What do you want to know?
So tell me, how are things in the Blume household right now? How are you guys doing?
Okay, I mean, we can't complain. Some of those out there who might know kind of how our business works and the things it focuses on, we're kind of plugged in and aware of people who are really being hit hard during this time. So in comparison to the people that we're trying to help along and empathize with, whether it's through our nonprofit partner overseas, or you compare to that, and we're fine. But as we've talked about, and it's for Eileen and me every day, there's definitely that heaviness that I think all of us are sharing and going through mentally, and certainly business has been hit and required new strategies and pivoting, and it can be exhausting at times. So there's a lot to talk about.
There's a lot.
That said, we're doing well. The kids are doing well. We just took a few days off to reset a little bit, and that was just kind of a privilege and a blessing for us to even be able to do that. So doing
a little
well.
bit of time. Yeah, I'm glad. I feel like that's one of the things I would encourage. We also took a little minute, my family and I, and it was the first time in 4 months that we've taken, just a little bit of downtime. And if you can do that and get away from things for just a little bit, it'll help immensely.
You can't afford not to. I mean, really important.
Yeah, absolutely. And you guys are in Georgia, right? So you're also in one of those hot states.
Yeah,
and no pun intended. I feel like our particular county maybe not so much, but but definitely
we are outside of Atlanta, so outside of some of the reality that it's always interesting to me how much the different ways we live factor into politics, and we kind of just assume that people have the same experiences we have. Most people live in urban areas, and there's a certain view of what's going on. And then for us, we live out here in a rural town with, I think, like 2,000 something population. And I think it feels, you're plugged into the news and everything, and you're very aware of what's going on. And you live along those lines, taking a lot of the same precautions and everything. But there's not, when you get out of your house and unplug and turn off the news, and talk with your neighbors as they walk down the sidewalk, it feels pretty chill here. So yeah, rural area, that's kind of our
And you guys are in your home, so you have a home studio.
Exactly.
So you're in your home. How are you guys doing? Like, how are you handling clients at this time? Are you seeing clients?
Yeah, we actually we're just following basic precautions that give us every confidence that we're safe and able to move on. Actually, we had a premiere, what we call our sales session, with one of our bride and groom couples yesterday, right? Right after getting back from vacation. So it was like the morning after we got home late with the kids. But they were waiting to see their engagement pictures. I had shot their session on their family farm. Originally it was going to be in a park in Atlanta, and so we did it on their family farm. I'm a hugger. I didn't get to hug them. I had kept my distance.
That's really hard for Phillip, by the way.
and they're very aware of what's going on and need to be healthy because they're front line. They're both doctors. So, but they were able to come in yesterday, and they sat over here, about 8 feet away from me and kept their masks on. I had worn my mask. We were able to go. Other than that, which is still, that enough is hard for me because I just want to go over there and squeeze people and and see their facial expressions. But we're able to continue. And a lot of what we're doing is things that we've learned for other reasons, and they just adapt to what we're doing now. So some time ago, because we were shooting so many weddings internationally or overseas, we didn't have the opportunity to do in-person sales sessions and things with people. So we have over time developed sales sessions online, doing those in a virtual way that everyone told us it couldn't be done. You couldn't get your sales averages as high as doing it in person. And thankfully over years, we've kind of found that you can. So we're doing a lot of that online. Mm-hmm. I say a lot. There's not a lot of sessions going on in terms of the weddings, but we are doing our mini sessions, our mini sessions at least.
I'm hearing that from a lot of people, y'all. I feel like if you have a good sales plan in place and you have a good sales process that you're following, that your online sales can, and when I say online, I mean in-person meeting via Zoom or some other way that you're actually guiding them through the sales process is actually can be even, as good or better.
It takes a lot less time, certainly, than having, in-person meetings back to back and the greetings and the food service and everything. A lot of that's cut out.
It also kind of honors their time.
Indeed.
A lot of our clients are really busy. I mean, if they have kiddos and they're taking them to and from lots of things and activities, and parents are busy working, and lives are busy for everybody.
Yes, that'll always be true. Right.
Yeah, because in-person premieres, those typically take about 1 to 2 hours, but an online premiere, when we meet via Zoom, that takes about 15 to 30 minutes tops.
Wow. Yeah, and no travel time.
Right, no travel. Mm-hmm.
That's great. That's really, really good. So how are you guys scheduling your days? We've talked offline, and you guys are friends, and we've talked a lot about just how we schedule our days, and kind of how we feel in our hearts and our mental, capacities at any given moment, and how that can change based on what's happening in the world.
Hey, Chris, will you do me a favor?
How we
turn off the AC for a second. That's not causing the Wi-Fi outage, but maybe it'll.
No worries.
We can do that while this is reconnecting anyway.
Yeah, you should be good. I think it's still recording.
It's okay.
Okay.
It just says internet connection's unstable.
We just got an unstable internet connection.
Yeah, so I feel like welcome to the internet, y'all.
Sorry, if you could just say again, because we were breaking up for us, just kind of the last.
Yeah, no, I was just talking about kind of scheduling and mindsets and where our hearts are, and trying to. I don't know about everybody else. I always feel like whenever I have an emotional, I'm going through something, I feel like I can't be the only one going through this. Like everybody else has to be feeling something that feels like this if I'm feeling it so intensely. And you're just trying to keep a good mindset and feeling sometimes very stretched thin and across a lot of things that are going on in the world today. And, how do we just take a breath, come back in and work our schedules so that we can build a life, right, and live and function through all the stuff that's going on right now in the world. How are you guys handling that? How are you doing that?
Yeah, I think universally this is true as far as starting your day off just with a quiet time. Whatever you do, whether it's through prayer or just meditation, but just starting off the day like that to just get in the right frame of mind. And that sets the tone for the rest of your day. So for me, that's definitely very important. If I snooze through my alarm and I wait for the kids to jump in on me in bed.
In our case, our day starts out with a WWF wrestling match.
Yeah. So if it starts out like that, I'm like, oh my goodness, I have to get breakfast for them and all this, and it just I get into this frenzy, and I just really need just at least that first hour to myself just to be quiet and hear my own thoughts and just plan out my day. And to me, that's super important.
Yeah, and I think the way you described it, Angela, is just feeling thin. It's telling. It's a really strong word picture. Kind of, I immediately thought of, I feel like butter scraped over too much bread. That just like we're Lord of the Rings nerds, so that Bilbo quote. But But I think that it really is how we feel, and we're trying to put words to something that is really, we can point to in a different way scientifically, like our brains are kind of being stretched to beyond the way they're supposed to operate. And I think what Eileen's referring to is hitting the nail on the head. A lot of times we're in this, we don't know why we feel so panicked or out of control, but we're designed, psychologically to survive in a wild world. Our worlds that we live in are very modern and convenienced, and oh my goodness, over the last just few decades have so many different walls of protection that we put around ourselves, but we're kind of, it's not normal.
Right.
We're throughout all of history, we survive outside, and we have to watch out for something that's going to come and try to eat us. So what happens is we still have that same brain, and when we're watching news every day and we're told about, oh, this threat and that threat, and we see the very worst of the worst compiled story after story, and then everyone kind of adding on to the story with their worst fears. A lot of news now, like hard news. I was a journalism student and journalist first, and so we were trained in certain ethics and things and how you're supposed to be effective and help people through journalism. And one of the things, a topic that I talk with a lot of my journalism friends about that hurts my heart is that we watch the news and read the news and how it's presented these days, as opposed to just 10 or 15 years ago. And we're breaking every ethical rule that we ever learned in ethics classes, and not providing helpful solutions. And so when we as consumers are watching that and getting that version of reality, our brain goes to this fight, flight, or freeze survival mode. And you can literally plug suction cups to your head and watch this on a screen.
Yeah.
Our healthy part of our brain has to shut down to send to use calories functioning. This part of our brain that's like, oh my gosh, like I'm in danger of this. I'm in danger of that disease. These people are against me. And we're constantly, our brain burns calories and energy like nothing else. So I know a lot of times we think about our bodies and how we have physical limits, and there's certain things we would not try. Our body's not capable of jumping that far across that cliff or whatever. But we'll push our brains to do things that it just doesn't have the energy or power to do. And then we crash. So there's a lot of repercussions of that. But I think that's what's happening.
I don't even think that I'm aware of that.
We don't think about it, right? We don't.
Yeah. Don't even, I mean, I know when I get to the place where I'm like, okay, I'm feeling a little, I'm not sure how much I can do. But I do notice once, so like we did take a little family break, and got away for a couple days, and coming back and just kind of sits going, oh, okay, I was wound pretty tight. Okay. And I told you guys this earlier, but got back, and yesterday was Monday, and sat outside for lunch, and my husband came up, he goes, what are you doing?
I've never seen you take a break.
I'm on my lunch break. Because normally I would get to lunch and I would come back and I'd sit at my desk and just keep going through emails or whatever, not realizing that my brain also needs a minute, that my brain needs a break. And from all of that. And I will admit also that we've actually taken a break from the news for the last couple of weeks because of how intense our feelings were getting. And so just trying to like take a breath, kind of what, you were saying, Eileen, of just waking up in the morning and being quiet. Like we need to find that quiet space, and create it if it's not easily accessible in our daily life.
Yeah, just being intentional with that time, and just being intentional with just your plan for the day so that you can kind of control the day, so to speak, without it controlling you.
So I like that. Can we talk a little bit about how maybe people can maybe put things into their day to be intentional, to find that space, to let their their brains have a rest and let their bodies have a rest.
Yeah, really practically. I mean, and I think there's a kind of a caveat that we have to discuss before like giving the 3, 4, 5 points of, how we structure our days.
Yeah.
The underlying principle to me is that you can't hold yourself to this. It just becomes another list of things you have to do that adds to the mental stress. If you think of them. But I think you have to start from a place of values. And that means a lot. I mean, if there's one bright thing for me, I think for a lot of people that potentially can come out of this, like the kind of, when you're brought through a trying time, you're kind of tried by fire. Hopefully it's a refining process, and you can allow it to burn away some of the chaff and purify, you as like a valuable, pure metal, become stronger on the other end. One of the things that I think this time has the potential of really adding a positive to our lives is giving us new perspective on what really matters. I know a lot of photographers who we mentor and their businesses, before their businesses can succeed, we have to go through a process of asking, what is success? Because you can work endlessly. You can work yourself day in and day out, not know who your kids are, lose your friends, and make a lot of money, and then just work to your grave and have accomplished nothing that you really wanted. So I think this has been a time where even I'm constantly trying to ask myself, what is success for me? And this time is definitely taking it to a new level where I'm really practicing a lot of things that I've learned in terms of like, what's the race all about? Why do I have to earn this certain income level starting this year? Or why do I ever have to reach that level? What do I really need to live on? And, maybe before my mind kind of said, well, I need this much to be comfortable and have these luxuries and not have to worry about bills. And well, do I really need those luxuries to be happy? I'm actually pretty content, sitting in the hammock and putting my feet up and having a lunch break instead of not eating or just stuffing a sandwich in my mouth while I work every day. Like, what is it that really brings us joy in life? I forget the nation, but I remember reading in National Geographic. It's a Near Eastern nation that the government instituted. Instead of measuring gross domestic product, they officially, like on the government level, said we're not going to measure our country through gross domestic product anymore. That's one measure of success. But who cares if we have a lot of money? Like, we're going to start measuring gross domestic happiness. And they literally did this on the national level. And it was so inspiring to me. Like, if we did that on the personal level, or even for our businesses professionally, like, what if we didn't feel like we need to reach those goals of this much money or this many sessions or whatever it is that people tell you is the measure of success. And we're just like, you know what? And this is something that Eileen is transformed Eileen's in my business from like, oh, we have to shoot 40 weddings a year and do them in some like crazy places and destinations. And we felt that way at the beginning of our business. And then it becomes so exhausting and it doesn't feel good at all. So, some people are impressed, but that doesn't even help you feel better. And so over time, and I guess this is like the idea of you gain some wisdom with experience and age, but it's better to learn from others so you don't waste the time.
You don't have to do all that.
Yeah. But we've learned that like just shooting, working with our local community, doing a very limited number of, more, instead of volume, a more limited number of short portrait sessions for families and different things like that. And make sure that we're meeting our needs. And we don't feel like we have to keep going until our bank account is ballooning, right? And so just doing that sort of thing. And we can talk more about this, but it then feeds into your day's schedule.
Yeah.
Because then it's not like I have to get up and knock out, a week's worth of work today because I'm behind. And how did I get caught up in Netflix yesterday and scrolling? I'm so ashamed of myself. Now I've got to catch up today. And then you can't possibly meet that goal. So you're frustrated and shamed at yourself again. I think, all of our schedules might look different. Like, you can sleep in and not be ashamed. And as long as you're doing a certain amount of work each day, the last thing I'll say before we can dig into some of the nitty gritty, and it may raise some questions specifically, but the last thing I would say is, most of us get in about 3 hours or less of work, actual work each day. And yet we're constantly working over like a 9 or 10 hour period. But we only get in maybe 2 or 3 hours of work. It's because we're constantly distracted by this or that. And it's painful. Like, the distractions aren't little pleasantries that we go off and do. They're like frustrations and things that I can't believe I, got on Facebook when I was just trying to go to my email. And we just feel bad at ourselves all the time. And we spend hours a day doing that.
I mean, wasting time.
And you have had no joy. So I think what we found is you only don't try to do more work every day. That's not the answer to feeling better about yourself. Just do 2 or 3 hours of work a day, but find a way to do them focused, and then give yourself some really joyful experiences with your kids, with your friends, with your family, with yourself, just self health and care. And really your life can become a daily joy if you just parse those things out and structure it that way.
Yeah, I love that. Again, we could talk for days, because I go down a bunch of rabbit holes with that you just said, but even just, starting with defining your own personal success and what that looks like for you. And, then when you translate that to your business, I've heard, and I experienced this in my own business, but and I've heard this over and over and over again through the years, is once people kind of took control of their own happiness and their joy in their work, they stopped accepting jobs with people who didn't bring them joy. And so we're able to get rid of kind of the clientele that wasn't really serving their heart, right? And so then we narrow that down, and our language, our marketing language for that is ideal client, right? But it starts with what you're talking about. It starts with knowing who you want to serve and how you want to serve them, and that being the people that value what it is that you do, right? Anyway, so I know we could talk for days. There's just so much goodness to start, to really glean out of so many of the things that you guys are talking about. But let's go ahead and jump in. I'd love to hear more. I love when Eileen talked about starting your day just kind of quiet and finding that quiet place in the morning. What else are you guys doing now to kind of feed yourselves through all of this?
Yeah. So I was going to mention also, along with schedule, I think it's so important having a paper to-do list, just something that you can physically check off. And so even at the start of my weeks, I have my start planner, and I love how it's structured to where you have your top 3 priorities for the day. And I just make sure to write that out in advance. And then when I get to that day, okay, this is what I have to do. And I can actually check it off and feel like I accomplished something. So as far as practically speaking, the structure of my days, I love doing that to-do list, a daily to-do list. Secondly, I was thinking about just, I guess, TV and media, in addition to news, what we were talking about earlier, and with kids. I know the kids are always asking for screen time. Oh, can we watch something? Even with this meeting, they're like, oh, can we watch something? And I have to really try hard to be like, okay, no, we're not going to watch anything. And what I see is when we do allow them to just play on their own without any screens, that's where the creativity is sparked. That's when they're really able to play with each other, and it kind of stretches that time that they can just get along with each other. I don't know if that's like that for everybody, but I find that when they just watch for hours upon hours of just mind-numbing
not that we would know, we've never tried that before. Never.
like they're just more they're harder to deal with, I feel like, and their behavior.
We experience the same. I will second that. We experience the same. It's just it's almost a different personality that comes out.
Yes.
And so we're like, wow, we really like, when you're not on screens, because when we were super busy with work, especially in the very beginning, and we were just there was lots going on and lots that we had to address. Early on, we did allow more screen time because because it was just the three of us in the house, you know?
Yeah. And it's just
so,
easy. It's just
Yeah,
it's a cop out kind of thing. It's
that's
like,
what I was
okay,
going to say
I can put
is
them in front of it
we
right
tell
now.
ourselves that there are these certain, you know, technology that makes our life easier. And so we're going to try to, and that's the ultimate instinct, the human instinct is to go with the least resistance. You know, you want to stay alive and burn the fewest calories, go with the option of least resistance. What's fascinating is it's not just kind of a feeling. A lot of things that we understand are intuitive, and we don't give them as much credence as we should. We kind of understand, the kids act like that. You know, or maybe they're around the TV so much that you just think you have bad kids and they're acting a certain way. But we can't put our fingers on it. So we say, well, you know, they just need discipline and more character, and they just need to act better no matter what. But the more we have learned, and I just love looking at research and stuff, but seeing how physically, how chemically, and literally some of these technologies are impacting us, and there's nothing we can do about it except for run away from the problem. And so it seems like the easy solution, but it's causing more problems for us. It's causing actual hardship. So very practically, Eileen and I did this years ago. We've been kind of incrementally trying to go more extreme, but we took our TV out of our house.
That's what I was going to mention next.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so,
that's something practical that you can do.
So literally, it sounds scary.
You put it in your yard.
What am I going to do with the kids? We'll send them out to the yard to watch TV. No. We have here in the studio, which is attached to our house, but separate, and the kids aren't allowed to come down here. They might show up, so we'll see. But this is separate for work, and we do have a screen down here where we show our clients videos and things. And so we'll have a family movie night each week. And so we still have that access to entertainment sometimes. But we took the TV out of the house because even if it was just there above the mantle, the kids wanted to, we're going to ask about it. And then it became, we have to push it away. So we finally just took it out, and they adapted.
The obstacle.
They adapted. And it became so, like, you can see a marked difference in their behavior as a result. So it becomes easier, even though you would assume it would become harder.
So I know we're talking about kids, but I feel like that's
true for us.
For all of us.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Definitely.
Just what we're putting in, what we're taking in, and in our own creativity and
like how much are we creating versus consuming? And I think a lot of us who even want to be creators, who we're artists at heart, we want to create beautiful pictures. We want to become better photographers. We also want to create businesses. We want to learn strategies that help us to survive. And we're ingesting so much in terms of listening to this person, and that person's strategy is a little different. I wonder which one's better. And we have analysis paralysis. Like, we analyze things. And we're never willing to just go out and do it. And ultimately, it doesn't matter if you choose the best option. Like, just create something. Go out and
an option.
Yeah, exactly. And I found that has been so hard for me as a recovering perfectionist. My personality is very much like I empathize deeply, and still I think it's nothing I'll ever be cured of. I have to struggle against it every day, under the guidance and reminders of a lot of great mentors. But it all started for me in college when I did a study abroad trip to New Zealand. And the program was amazing. We were studying ecology, and it wasn't in a college classroom. We were living in tents in rainforests. And then the next week we might be like on a beach or a desert climate, and studying everything hands-on. The crazy thing was we were never in shelter. We had to bring waterproof paper and pen to try to write our essays. And it was just ridiculous conditions. Like, who can write you have 2 hours to write your essay for your final test, and it's pouring rain on your head, and even the waterproof ink is smudging. It's like, so it was one of these like under pressure things that I finally just snapped. I think I was like, forget it. Who cares? This is not going to be a perfect essay. And up to that point, everything had to be perfect. And so it's experiences like that where I think in our businesses, we can do the same thing. We're like, this is not going to be perfect. Getting this done is better than having it be perfect.
Yeah. If you guys take nothing else from this conversation, take that. Because
Yeah, done is better
I
than
feel like
perfect.
especially small business owners, entrepreneurs, we want to get it right. You know, we don't want to put something out that we don't feel 100% confident with.
Right.
And yet, I think you're right. Done is better than perfect.
Yeah. And life is one big science experiment. I mean, a scientist would never think
think
about, how am I going to do this science experiment? I don't want it to go wrong. I need because you can't come up with the solution or discover anything unless you start failing. And life is like that. Your business is like that. You have to do things wrong.
Yeah. There's a great quote out there. It says, fail early, fail often.
Yes, exactly.
Fail fast.
And if you actually enjoy failure, like, get curious about it. Like, oh, that's so interesting why that doesn't work.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter, eventually you will succeed. If you learn to trust the system, you will eventually succeed the more you just create.
Because you're doing stuff.
Because you're doing stuff. But actually take a little bit of a joy and curiosity in the things that go awry and kind of see call it the fun in that or whatever. And it becomes part of the ride that way. So just not so much. And, there might be those who criticize you for like, oh, you didn't get that perfect. Just ignore those people. I mean, Eileen and I will cheer you on and not going to laugh at you at all if you fall on your face. We'll be like, that's awesome. You're falling on your face. Keep it up. And we have to do the same thing for our kids. Like, we have one whose personality is just, go hog wild, try anything, fall on your face, doesn't matter. And our oldest, who is like, I don't want to try this unless I'm going to get it right. And we have to tell her, like, we want you to mess up. Just have fun. Like, ride your bike, into the ground a couple times, and we'll just cheer about it and say how exciting it was. Great scratch, great war wound. That's how we have to live, I think, even as adults.
So I love the thread that I'm also hearing through this entire conversation, which is about finding joy, and so, originally our topic is this idea of scheduling your days and how to be gentle and give grace to ourselves and all of that, and how you guys are doing that. But I think there is that underlying piece of it that's about finding joy in those moments, because that's really life, right? That's success ultimately. Is finding that. What else are you guys doing to kind of create that space?
Gardening is a big one.
Go ahead.
Were you going to go on a different tangent?
No, but you can talk about your gardening for a second.
Gardening. I found, I don't know, you become your parents as you grow older or something. My dad is a landscape architect and just gave me he was trying to teach me the Latin names for every plant as I grew up. And I just like plugged my ears and, I don't want to hear it. And I just can't help it now. Like, I wish now I'm learning those things and I love it. Like, gardening, I don't know how it fits into because I'm also like, I love adventure sports and extreme stuff, but I just love gardening now. And so that has been one of the most interesting things. This is where I just mentioned earlier about how there's certain personality types, and you would do yourself a lot of well, anybody listening, to like take some Enneagram test or what's the other Myers-Briggs
16 personalities.
16 personalities. Like, do some of these tests and kind of learn about yourself and how you're wired, so you can make sure that you're doing things in life that nurture your brain style. And
then we also find out how to really encourage and support each other in that.
Exactly.
We're like, oh, okay, these are what your needs are.
You're so weird. Well, at least I know what you're like now. There's no changing you.
It's been so helpful, and it's made us, I feel like, appreciate each other more and our gifts more. Because I used to think, okay, if not everyone's like me, then something must be wrong with them or whatever it is, but then I see the beauty in the different personalities and what we all bring to the table.
Yeah. But I literally I go out and spend hours just basically looking at plants all day, watering them and pulling up the weeds. And it's you could say that, again, Hobbit reference here, like hobbits love things that grow. That's how I feel. But it's not that's not all I'm achieving. When I'm doing that, my mind is wandering. And if you want to get into the technical side of it, neurons are connecting. That if I was at work, if I was like trying to put this email into that folder and do these things, those connections would never happen. It's not like they can happen in the background. They cannot. They have to come to the forefront. And you have to allow yourself to be bored in order for your brain to grow that way. So for me, I have never come up, and I've come up with a lot of good ideas for our business. We've been very successful, and I'm the big ideas person. I've never come up with an idea while I was working. Every one of my ideas has come to me while I'm on a run, in the shower, or in the garden. And it's when all of the things that I've been perceiving are able to, I don't even do it. It's like my brain is designed to do it, and it brings everything together at the right time. And if I didn't commit to that as a discipline, like there was a time when I felt guilty about giving myself time away from the computer, time away from shooting.
Yeah.
And it was such a limited way of thinking. But now I give most of my life, not only do I enjoy it because I'm just in the garden, it's actually very pleasant. I can actually just lay in the hammock like you were talking about for your lunch break. I'm spending most of my hours doing that stuff. And as a result, I'm actually coming up with ideas that are more effective and more efficient. And I'm getting more, sort of out of the tailpipe, like what's coming out, what's the result. I'm getting bigger and better results as a result of allowing my mind to process in a relaxed way. So the gardening has been just a very practical, running in the morning. I used to have trouble running or doing exercise because I really didn't ever care if I felt like I needed to care more about my physique, and I should look like a big bodybuilder. And why don't I care? Well, I don't care, so I'm not going to work out. Yeah, I'm never going to be one of those. Eileen wishes, I'm sure. But I changed my mindset about why should I work out? Oh, well, actually, like your body and mind are so much more interconnected than you realize. You start doing something physically, just because we're designed to do it. I'm like, my body is supposed to do this every day. I'm not going to deny it the exercise and the activity, the action that it deserves, that it's built for.
Yeah.
And so I just do it to feel good and to make my mind work. And literally exercising, I'll never try to lift enough weights to, get ripped, but I do it because it makes my brain just like a well-oiled machine. And that's now my motivation. And that will get me on the pavement in the morning to run,
Yeah.
So it's a very different thing when you just look at it differently.
I think, for me, just as a woman, going through my life and, always being conscientious of just, because girls. So before, working out was always a thing I was supposed to be doing. You're supposed to do that. It became a chore. It became a thing on my to-do list, which I think you alluded to this even earlier in this conversation, like don't make things your to-do list. And starting actually last September, I started looking at that time, that hour and a half that I would take in the evening as my time. And so it became a privilege for me to get to go do that versus something I had to go do. And all of a sudden it like flipped for me. And now it was something I looked forward to do because it was something I was gifting myself, not something I was forcing myself to go do. But I think a lot of things are like that, not just exercise, right?
Right.
100%.
So, even working on our businesses, we have an opportunity as entrepreneurs to work on our businesses, to take that time to, I also think as entrepreneurs, you guys are frontline and you're helping people, and what you do is vital in this world as storytellers, as artists. And so I love to encourage people to, to understand and know their value.
Absolutely. Yeah. We've been just realizing that in new ways, during this time. I think, a story that, I probably shared inside of our Maximizing Mini Sessions group, because a lot of people are kind of able to restart and reopen their businesses. But one of the mini sessions that we did was with a family who literally is, again, this is one of those ideas that the ideas I have aren't always about how can we profit more. It's just like, here's something we should do, to fulfill our mission and our values in life. So I always run, past this home they've been clients of ours, a family who's come to us for family portraits a couple times. And I would run by and I knew he was a doctor. So I would just spend time praying for him whenever I ran their street. He's on the front lines helping people who are sick. And so I got home and I just kept thinking about him. I texted her. I texted the wife and said, hey, listen, just wanted you to know, been praying for you guys and thinking about you every day when I run by. And we'd love to just, we know that, y'all are probably under some stress with all this. We'd love to just gift you a little portrait session together. And it could have just been like, oh, thanks. We don't even really value that, but thanks anyway. But it was one of those things where I think it just came full circle spiritually. Like she wrote back and said, I'm literally weeping. My husband, the doctor, he's also with a unit of military doctors. He was actually being deployed the next day to be gone for a long time, working with COVID needs and things overseas. And so we were able to create these family portraits with them, and just to create a time for them to connect really intentionally, and for them to have something physical to look at and remember as he was gone all that time under really hard circumstances, at a time when everyone's kind of drained mentally.
Yeah.
And it was so meaningful. And that's just what you said. Is I just wanted to underline that. What we do is, there's ways to do photography that's stupid and meaningless. Like, you can do it that way. Or you can, just like anything in life, you can do it with vision and with a heart for human beings. And how can you love on humans? And if you put people first, it really doesn't matter if you do it with photography or whatever, but I love that we can do it with photography, which is such a powerful visual storytelling communication method. You can help people. You can make a real difference, and don't underestimate it.
Thank you guys so much. I know our time is actually over, but I love talking to you guys so much. I'm sure people won't mind if we're over a little bit. We've talked a lot about scheduling and just kind of finding that quiet space and how important that is to our hearts and our minds. Any last bit of advice you have for people as we're working through this?
Eat
well. Also, just add that to your to-do
list. Eat well, and remember to eat. Philip tends to just kind of work through breaks, but I have to remind him, okay, take a break now. So
yeah, you're not going to do all of this on your own. Like, it helps to have, of course, I'm very blessed to have a partner in crime here who knows some of my my ever-present weaknesses and things. But if you don't have that, if you have that person at your side, then it doesn't mean that the partnership is perfect. You always need to be working and understanding each other better. But if you don't have that person, reach out to people, push away the people who are unhealthy in your life. You don't need to listen to them. Put them on that 30-day mute on Facebook if you have to, or whatever. I try never to unfriend anyone, but if you have to mute them, that's okay. Just, you want to get people around who can speak into your life and help you with those areas that you can't do it all on your own. You need the team.
I did want to say, just moving forward with the school year coming upon us, especially with kids, I was going to mention the 10-minute intentional time. So back when I was mainly the one watching kids, Philip would have this 10 minutes with each kid, and just kind of undivided attention. You can just play with them, whatever they want to do for those 10 minutes. And it's amazing just what it does to their spirit, just what it does to just stretch that time of, I don't know, just being happy, really. And you notice a difference in each one of the kids. And I would encourage those of you who have kids or a partner, especially, just even with us, just having just the intentional time to where we're just like, hey, how are you? What's on your heart right now? Or just do something together. And I think that's how you can even stretch the hours of the day, because we wonder, like, oh, how can I meet everyone's needs and do my work? Just being intentional and focused with the time with your loved ones actually does stretch the hours.
It's not the quantity of the time, it's the quality of the time that you spend with people. Yeah.
I love that. You guys, thank you so much for sharing your time with us today. I value you as friends, as mentors, and we just appreciate you so much. Thank you again for joining us.
Thanks, Angela.
Thanks, Angela.
Always a pleasure.
Bye, guys.
Bye.